Hi, I'm Patrick Hansen, this is Pack Horse World History, and today we're going to be talking about Imperial Japan. Most of you would best remember them by a single date that would live in infamy, but to really understand 1940s Japan, we have to go back to the 1800s. In the mid-1800s, Japan was in a state of economic and political turmoil. The policy of seclusion, or sakoku, used during the Edo period, came to an end by the Convention of Kanagawa in 1854. Japan was forced to sign a series of unequal treaties when foreign ships, initially led by Commodore Perry, sailed into their harbors. This led to internal hostility towards the shogunate, and later matured into radical xenophobia. In 1863, the order to expel the barbarians was issued. This led to conflict with both foreign powers and the shogunate, culminating in the resignation of Japan's last shogun. Shortly thereafter, Emperor Meiji was restored to power, and the Meiji Restoration began. The Boshin War broke out the following year, following Meiji's demands that the Tokugawa shogunate be dismantled. The war ended with the solidification of imperial power, and Japan began rapid westernization. Military and economic power was emphasized, and by the dawn of the 20th century, Japan had become the only non-Western world power. Skipping over the Sino-Japanese and Russo-Japanese wars, which led to Taiwan, Korea, and parts of Manchuria falling under Japanese control, we head to the 1900s. During these years, nationalism gained a lot of support, having been born in the early years of the empire. Despite a brutal struggle between liberals and ultra-nationalists in the 1920s, 1925's peace preservation law massively curtailed political freedom, allowing nationalism to grip the country. The left began to disintegrate as Emperor Hirohito ascended the throne. Although Japan had long been interested in the resource-rich region, there had been little opportunity until Prime Minister Hamagachi Osashi's assassination in 1930 caused control to slip away from the civilian government. This gave the army a chance to independently invade Manchuria. This brings us to 1937, when explosions heard on the Chinese side of the border were used as an opportunity by Japanese troops to move into China. This offensive led into a full-scale war. This incident eventually became known as the Marco Polo Bridge incident. The offensive quickly turned into a full-scale war, and Japan occupied the eastern coast of China. Despite many early victories against the Chinese, however, they could not fully defeat them, and the war turned into a stalemate. Shortly after this, China signed the Tripartite Pact in 1940, forming an alliance between the fascist powers. Japan expanded unbridled in the late 1930s. But after a refusal to an American ultimatum to remove their troops from China and French Indochina, America declared an oil embargo on Japan. What? Time for the open letter? But first, let's see what's in the secret compartment. Oh, it's a Dr. Pepper! Oh, Dr. Pepper, how you quench the thirst of people all over the world. Just like oil quenched the thirst of Japan during World War II. Oh, oil, how you quench the thirst of countries all over the world. But why do you have to be so friggin' expensive? I want to fill up my car without paying a day's wages. And what's with the black gold anyway? You don't seem very golden to me. And if Japan hadn't learned to rely on you, we never would have screwed them over. Best wishes, Patrick Hansen.
But Mr. Hansen, what do you mean Japan became reliant on oil? And how do we screw them over?
Well, me from the past, if I don't kill you, I might be able to explain that to you. You see, Japan was heavily dependent on oil for their industrialization and mechanized units. Let's go to Thought Bubble.